Hi guys, so this lecture today is going to be about the scientific method, and many of you may have already covered this topic before in a science class, so I'm going to go over a few things. I'm going to talk about experimental question, hypothesis, data, and variables. While I'm giving this lecture, I just want you to take down some notes using a Cornell note structure. So you're just going to draw a line on a piece of paper and be writing those down, and you can answer the questions as I go through Edpuzzle, okay? So I want to start out with this idea of an experimental question. This is a question you ask about the observable universe. So the purpose of an experiment is to answer this question. So in the elephant toothpaste, you guys asked lots of questions about what you were observing during that chemical reaction. And so you were basically coming up with questions that could have been experimental questions. However, these questions have to be testable. So you have to be able to create an experiment that can actually answer the question. So your next step in this process is to create a hypothesis. This is a claim you have about the question you're asking. So if you had a question about the elephant's toothpaste, this is what your guess would be about the answer to that question, okay? And so you have to write it in a complete sentence. It should include a sentence that explains the reasoning behind your hypothesis. So you have to have some reason for your claim. And it has to be something that can be proven or tested. Okay, so you have to be able to actually test it. So there's lots of questions you could ask that may not be provable. Okay, so science can only answer questions that are provable, that are testable. Okay, so here's an example. Let's say you have a question about Red Bull. Does Red Bull actually make you hyper? Okay, now I have three different answers here. Whoops. I have three different answers here, and I want you to think about which one of these do you think is the correct answer. Not the correct answer, but the correct way to make a hypothesis. So A, yes. B, yes, hyper when I drink Red Bull. C, when a person drinks Red Bull, they will become hyper because when I drink Red Bull, I feel hyper, and I think other people will be too. Go ahead and respond to this. Okay, so if you said C, you were correct because it's a complete sentence. It is testable because I can actually drink Red Bull or do an experiment with Red Bull. And it has a reasoning there for it. Okay, so here's another example of an experiment, drops on a penny. Normally I would have you do this in class, but because we're at home, I'm going to kind of go through this process with you here at home and give you an example. So here's an experimental question. Does the heads or the tail side of a penny fit more drops of water? Okay, so this is a testable question. We can actually do an experiment to find out the answer. Okay, so your next step is to make a hypothesis. Make a claim about which side will fit more drops, the heads or tails side of a penny, and include your reasoning. Go ahead and try this in the Edpuzzle question. Okay, now you have a hypothesis. How do we test this hypothesis? Well, we have to create an experimental procedure that tests this hypothesis. So you have to come up with some procedure that you think would test this. I want you to go ahead and create a procedure. Just write down what you think you would do to test this hypothesis, okay? And here's a key thing. There's this idea of trials. It's the number of times you do an experiment. So you want to make sure you do an experiment more than once. Okay, so now we need to have some sort of a data chart to record data from this experiment. So I'm going to actually do this experiment 3 times and find the average, okay? So here's a picture of what I did in this experiment to try to test it. Of course, this is on the head side. All right, so I had 18 on one side. So that's the head side. Let's try the other side. Okay, so now we can record our data. So here you can see that was our first trial. We had 18 drops and then 21 drops. And then you can see here I have more data that I collected later, and you can see the average here. So now we have data from this experiment. So once you've got data, you can then come to some sort of conclusion, okay? So there's one more thing I wanted to teach you before we go is I wanted to teach you something about variables, okay? So we're looking at variables in this experiment, and there's a lot of variables. But there are two different kinds of variables that we talk about in an experiment. A variable, again, is anything that can change, okay? Anything that can change. So for example, the speed of something, the color of something, the temperature of something, all of those things are variables, right? And so an experiment is the condition where one variable is changed to see its effect on another variable. All other variables have to remain constant. So this is super important in an experiment. You have to keep all other variables constant. Otherwise, you don't know what actually caused a change. So the control is the condition where no variables are changed at all, okay? So you have to have usually some sort of control in an experiment as well. So there are two main kinds of variables that I want to talk about here. An independent variable, it's the thing you are testing in your experiment. It's the variable you change on purpose to find out if it has an effect. The dependent variable is the variable that you are measuring in an experiment, okay? So we're going to try to think about these two in relationship with the penny drop experiment. So the independent, again, is the variable you're testing in an experiment to find out how it does something. And the dependent is the variable you're measuring. So what do you think the independent variable and the dependent variable are for the penny lab? Okay, well, I'm going to give you a couple more examples. For example 1, a scientist is studying the effect of a drug on cancer. What are the possible independent variables? And what could be the dependent variable here? Okay, well, let's take a look at some examples here. So the independent variable could be the amount of the drug that you give someone. So one person you might give a small amount, another person you give a larger amount. Another independent variable could be the timing of the drug. One person you give the drug early in a disease and another later in the disease, okay? What would be the dependent variable here? Well, of course, it would be the effect on the cancer. So does the cancer go away or does it continue to grow? Okay, that's what we would measure our effects on. Let's try one more example. A scientist studies the impact of withholding affection for rats on their weight. Okay, so maybe their question here was like, does affection affect whether a rat might gain or lose weight? All right, so I want you to think about this one for a second. What would be independent variables and dependent variables? Okay, so let's see what we might have here. The independent variable, of course, would be the amount of affection you give a rat. Some rats you isolate, don't give any affection. Others you give a lot of affection and you kiss them and you pet them, okay? What would be the dependent variable? Well, what we're measuring, of course, is the weight of the rats, okay? So that gives you a little more example of how experiments work in science. So what we're going to be doing next on later this week is you guys are going to be actually designing your own experiments, and we're going to be using an online tool to do this, okay? Thank you, and make sure that you write a summary in your Cornell notes for this.